I've made six figures in crypto in both the last two cycles, but what I'm going to say about 0.1 Bitcoin might shock you. Today's video is all about Bitcoin and exactly how much you need to secure your financial future. And to finish, I'll tell you whether or not it's too late to invest in a Bitcoin to make a real difference, like helping us investors with the cost of living. That is the gift that keeps on giving. Part 1. The impossible becomes inevitable. Most investors who are into crypto have a little Bitcoin story. Mine goes like this. I was told about it in 2015 when it was around $300 per token. I ignored my cousin who was doing his very best to tell me how the current financial system is broken and that Bitcoin is part of the solution, etc., etc. If I had any sort of financial literacy, like understanding the painful effects of inflation, I honestly believe I would have got at least 10 Bitcoin. But unfortunately, this sort of education eluded me until 2019. In 2011, Bitcoin was $1. People laughed when someone said it might go to $100. When it did, the same people said, right, but what about 1,000? Never. Then it did that too. Every single major milestone, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, was impossible until it wasn't. Why? Because they were measuring Bitcoin using old rules. Rules built for fiat, for inflation, for systems designed to decay over time. Bitcoin is a new asset and in my humble opinion is one of the best hedges against inflation available to us investors. Part 2. Bitcoin versus gold. In my 8 years in crypto, Bitcoin has been compared to gold over and over. Now I think they're both really good hedges against inflation, a way to preserve your wealth. But if you're looking for higher returns, there is only one winner. Yes, gold is physical and has a track record going back thousands of years. But I'm an investor who wants to get the highest returns possible. And digital gold has massively outperformed physical gold over the last few years. This is not hypothetical, not eventually, now. Bitcoin has outperformed gold by over 9,000x. And in late 2021, BTC's market cap surpassed silver. The next target could well be gold's 20 trillion valuation. This might sound far-fetched, but I believe anything is possible with Bitcoin, as do much smarter investors than me, which we're about to get to. For Bitcoin to match that, we need a price of over 1 million per coin. Think about it. If you hold even 0.1 Bitcoin, that's 100,000 in the future. You don't need a full coin. You just need to be early. And trust me, you're still early for Bitcoin and crypto. When you follow macro experts like Raoul Pal, they believe the total market cap for crypto will eventually get to $100 trillion. At the time of putting this video together, the total market cap is just over $3 trillion. Part 3. $1 million Bitcoin isn't a fantasy. What happens after gold? Property or real estate for any investors over in the US? The entire US real estate market currently worth $50 trillion. Well, if Raoul Pal is right and the entire space gets up to $100 trillion and Bitcoin maintains its current dominance of 60-ish%, that will be a market cap of 60 trillion for Bitcoin. This might sound a bit out there, but for well-known legit investors, billionaire investors like Cathie Wood, Michael Saylor, and many more, Bitcoin at 1 million, 5 million, even 10 million per coin is no longer speculation. Cathie Wood, who is the CEO of ARK Invest, has a revised 2030 Bitcoin price target of $1.5 million to $2.4 million. Laugh if you want, but ask yourself, did people laugh at $1,000 BTC? Yes. You're not crazy for believing. You're crazy if you ignore it. I was told by my cousin that Bitcoin would get up to 100,000 in 2015 and again in 2017. As you already know from earlier, I ignored this info and I thought it was madness. Part 4. What happens when the world buys Bitcoin? Central banks are already buying Bitcoin. BlackRock, Fidelity, and other institutions are scooping up millions of coins. Companies like Strategy are buying huge amounts of Bitcoin literally every single week. As you probably know, there were 11 Bitcoin ETFs approved in January 2024, and BlackRock's ETF was the most successful ETF launch of all time. This shows huge demand for Bitcoin. And that's without even mentioning the US Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. See below for a video all about Donald Trump signing the US Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Looking at basic economics, and that's supply and demand, the price is only going one way. That's because of the huge demand and because Bitcoin is capped at 21 million. That means as the rich buy in, the door closes behind them. You won't be able to get 1 BTC anymore in the near future. Even 0.1 BTC will become a luxury, and eventually it'll be like owning land in Manhattan. This is an analogy I've heard Michael Saylor use over and over again. No one's selling, everyone's holding. Before we finish with the important stuff, I just want to point out that this isn't financial advice. As always, I'm just trying to help you with my experience to help you decide whether or not investing in Bitcoin is for you or not. What we're about to move on to. Part 5. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin? Over in Kazakhstan in late 2023, I was having several conversations with colleagues and friends about Bitcoin. The price of one Bitcoin was about $30,000. One of my mates had just sold a rental property and was considering buying one Bitcoin. He didn't because he was waiting for the price to drop below 20,000. It never did, and I remember him being devastated when Bitcoin was over 50,000. This is the mistake most people make. They focus too much on the price for one Bitcoin, not the returns or potential returns each year. According to Carevote, the average annualized return for Bitcoin has been 80% over the last 10 years. Let's assume that the returns won't be as high over the next 10 years, so we'll assume that Bitcoin will get you, on average, 50% returns each year over the next 10 years. This is based on historical data and on the opinions of some of the experts I've mentioned in today's video, like Raoul Pal and Kathy Wood. Let's use an example of what you would get if you invested £500 every single month for the next 10 years. So 500 each month for 10 years with an assumed, obviously not guaranteed, return of 50%, you would end up with a future sum of just over £1.5 million. So for me personally, I'm saying that it's definitely not too late to invest in a Bitcoin. Let me know your thoughts below. Part 6. Bitcoin or XRP. Now this is to finish with a bit of fun. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, not even close, and I'm not emotional about any of my cryptos. 2025 is all about taking profits in crypto for me personally. If you want to know my latest exit strategy, again see below. I invest into Bitcoin and XRP. I like them both for different reasons. Bitcoin is a store of wealth similar to gold, but XRP for me is going to get me higher returns. This is why I'd have to choose XRP over Bitcoin. This might get me some hate, but I really don't care. I feel XRP will potentially get me a 5x in 2025, and if XRP gets ETF approvals, and if we have the alt season I'm expecting, but Bitcoin, you're talking 2x, 3x maybe. If you're low risk and you want exposure to digital assets, you go Bitcoin. It's the most secure, it's definitely the lowest risk, but if you want decent returns in 2025 like me, you go XRP. I have a small amount of Bitcoin that I won't be touching because of what I've been talking about today. With XRP, it's a bit different. I'm going to cash out 50% this year to help me hit some of my financial goals, and the other 50% is for longer term. Now, if you want to know why I think XRP will go up significantly higher over the next 5 years and how it might help you retire much earlier than expected, see below again for another video. Summary. Getting back to Bitcoin. This is bigger than a bull run, bigger than a financial strategy. This is a global wealth transfer from fiat to crypto, from inflation to deflation, from the 1% to the aware. In 10 years, people will look back and ask, why didn't I buy more? And you'll remember this moment, this video, not as hype, not as clickbait, but as the moment you realize 0.1 Bitcoin might be the best investment you'll ever make. Let me know in the comments, are you team Bitcoin or team XRP or any other cryptos on the market? Me, as I've said, I'm all over diversification and I'm not emotional about any of my cryptos. If this video made you think a little bit differently, hit the like button so more people can see it. Let's talk about it respectfully, logically, because the future is coming fast and Bitcoin might just be the asset that secures your financial future. Now, if you want a bit of help in 2025, you can book a one-to-one call with me. See below for more details.